Hi, this is Jim Musser with Upstream Ministries, and I just want to talk very personally for the next few minutes about what's been going on in my life, particularly the last 18 months, and how that relates to Upstream Ministries and my blog and my YouTube videos. There have been particularly over the last 6 months, things have been fairly sporadic. And I feel like I've reached a point now where I'm what I would consider over the hump with some of the physical things I've been dealing with and feel like I'm getting back to normal. So, back in August of 2024, I was working out at the gym and noticed I didn't quite feel the way I normally do when I'm working out, and got home and checked my pulse, and my pulse was all over the place, up 150 down to 85 or whatever, and so I contacted my niece, who's a cardiac nurse practitioner, and she said, "Yeah, you better check in with your cardiologist and find out what's going on." And so I did that, and he said, "You're in what they call atrial flutter, which is a kind of a cousin of AFib, which probably most people have heard about." So they did a cardioversion, which is basically shocking your heart back into rhythm. That lasted a few weeks, and then I was back into arrhythmia and shocked it again, and it didn't stay in rhythm very long, and so then they decided that they would do a procedure called an ablation, which they go in to the heart and basically do damage to the heart to try to interrupt these rogue signals that the heart's producing that leads to arrhythmia. And that ablation worked for about 3 months, and then I was back into arrhythmia again, back to getting my heart shocked again. And then in the spring, I was diagnosed with a chronic heart condition that is treatable but not curable, and that was diagnosed at Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Minnesota. And while I was there, I had another arrhythmic episode, and they recommended I do another ablation. So back in mid-May of last year, or this year of last year, I went up there, had another ablation. It lasted maybe 6 weeks, 2 months. And then we were doing cardioversions again to get me out of that. And as you probably are aware of, or would be, that this is taking quite a toll on me physically. And I'm just not feeling well, and I stopped working out because I couldn't really trust my heart to be in rhythm and what was going to throw it out of rhythm. And so in October, my doctor, I had a consultation with my doctor at Mayo, and he said, "Did you realize you're in atrial flutter again?" He said, "You've probably been in it for a couple months," and I didn't. And so he recommended another cardioversion, so I had that. And then in early December, I had another episode and had another ablation, and that ablation lasted no more than 10 days. And so I had just that would be my third ablation, and I just kind of reached the point where I was ready for this to be over. And in consultation with my doctor at Mayo, we decided that I would have a pacemaker implanted because this chronic condition I had was just not working with the ablation. It was working against the ablation, as one cardiologist told me. And so it seemed like that probably was what needed to be done, and probably could have been done a year earlier, but I just didn't know and didn't want to take that, what at the time I considered a radical step. Now I consider a very logical one. So I had that pacemaker implanted at the end of January up in Mayo. And so I'm about to, well, it's 5 weeks today since that was implanted. And I can say I didn't feel transformed the first couple of weeks, but and particularly in the last week, I am beginning to feel like myself. Back before all this started in August of 2024, I just feel a lot better now. I'm still weak. I've lost a lot of muscle mass, but I'm trying to slowly get that back, trying to be very disciplined. And my wife keeps reminding me I need to take it slow and just build up. And so that's what I'm doing for the next few weeks. And then I'm going to be traveling off and on. But I wanted to be ready for that travel. And so that's where I've been. And I just want to say that I'm just so thankful to God for what he's been doing in all of this. I mean, it's been frustrating. I have to admit that. And there were times I was extremely discouraged because I felt like an invalid, and I've never felt that way. And it just there wasn't any light at the end of the tunnel, and it just kept coming back. And I really reached a point where I was just, Lord, help me get through this, and may you heal my heart, whether you want to do it through a device or you want to do it directly by your hand. I really don't care. I just want it fixed, and he's fixed it. And so I'm just grateful to him for that. I'm grateful for all the prayers that we received. I mean, a lot of people in our newsletter and friends that knew about this and have been praying. There have been people that had contributed money for our expenses to go to Mayo. We went 3 times, and it's not a cheap trip, and it's not a simple process of getting there. And so I'm just so thankful because God just provided so much for us. And I just give him all the praise and glory for that. And I just want to say that, having said all that, is that I really am planning to kind of get back into what I was doing before all this started in a very much more consistent manner. Doing videos on my YouTube channel, hopefully doing some writing. I mentioned I'm going to be traveling quite a lot in the next couple months, so I don't know how consistent I'm going to be, but I'm hopeful that regardless of I'm traveling, I can still do some things, communication with you guys. So that's the plan. And one thing I can update you on is my book, Letters from Downstream, is finally, I think, going to be published in the next couple months. We're waiting on the copyright from the government to officially say go on the publishing. And my publisher says as soon as they get that, they're going to go into printing. So I am hoping that sometime in May, that's going to be coming out. And it's a new edition of the old book, lots of new resources and just different stuff in it than the original. And I'm super excited to finally, after 2 years of being under contract, that this is finally going to happen. So I'll have more news about that as we go along in the next couple of months, but I'm really thrilled about that. So I'm going to end this here and just again thank you. And I hope you understand kind of what I've been going through and why I haven't really done much communication and doing some videos with, there's things on my heart that I really want to get back to talking about. So hopefully my plan is to do a video next week and then do a couple more before I begin to travel, and then we'll see if I can do any where I'm at in April. And so blessings to you. Again, thank you if you're one that has been praying for me or has given money to us to help. I'm so grateful. So take care and just have a very blessed day.